If you want to create a more accessible yoga practice for your students, but you're not really quite sure how to do that, this is a great resource for you here. Today we're going to be looking at the arm positioning when we get into extended side angle and why some people just can't really seem to get the arms stacked and the shoulders stacked. Now, it has nothing to do with the fact that that one arm won't go back far enough, but everything to do with actually the bottom shoulder and in the way the spine is twisting. So there is one simple technique that I use that works for almost everyone that I've given it to, including myself. I can feel this difference in my body that is so simple for you to incorporate into your classes. So let's get right to it. This technique that I'm going to share with you can actually be used not just for extended side angle, but for something like triangle as well. So when we see people getting into, let's just take extended side ankle, for example, and we see this kind of thing that's happening, whether the arm is here or the arm is straight, and they're kind of sideways. Generally, what we might do is give them a cue to open this arm up. But what happens is that this shoulder just comes a little bit forward. It rotates inward here, and the arm is still kind of stuck. Instead of looking at the body through the perspective of the side where the arm is reaching up, we look at the side where the arm is coming down. And in that, you can see that this shoulder is pulled back, which is why this shoulder is reaching forward. So we don't change what's happening on top because that is not a holistic perspective. We look at more of the root source of why that shoulder is there in the first place. Well, that shoulder is extending that way because his bottom shoulder is rotated that way. Why is his bottom shoulder rotated that way? Because the chest is facing down. So in order to address that and make this type of rotation, whether it's in a triangle pose or a extended side angle pose, in order to make that rotation more accessible for people, we're going to look at the way we enter into the pose. You want to get your students to set up where instead of having either the palms forward or the palms down, this front hand is actually going to flip. Now, it's not because we care about where the palm is facing, it's because the way that the palm flips leads to an internal rotation of this shoulder. And what was the problem? The problem was this shoulder was pulling back, which is why this shoulder was only in this forward position. And it's not going to help to then come into a back bend to fix it. This shoulder is still pulling back that way. So instead, we encourage the spine to twist by turning this front palm in, which internally rotates this shoulder. Then from there, you either are coming into the triangle. Already you have a different placement here. It's not here and here, it's here and here. Or you're coming into the side angle, which is rotate and tip. And then you start to get more of a relationship between these 2 points as that bottom shoulder comes in and allows the spine to twist because shoulder internal rotation allows the spine to twist. Then that top shoulder has the freedom to open up. And that's where you can get some of that stacking in the arms. So look at it from a holistic perspective, not just from the perspective of what's happening with the top arm, but that shoulder where it is in relation to this shoulder, in relation to the spine. You will be able to provide a much more holistic and accessible practice for your students.